Hey guys, tonight we're going to travel to a world painted on a silk scroll, a place of jade ornaments, fragrant incense, and whispers behind intricately carved wooden screens. We're journeying back to ancient China to explore a life that is at the very heart of its poetry, its philosophies, and its dynasties, the life of a woman. Imagine a courtyard house where the rustle of bamboo in the garden is the only sound that breaks the afternoon stillness, and every single person knows their exact place. And spoiler alert, your place is probably not the one you choose. Forget climbing the corporate ladder. Your primary career goal is to not dishonor your family and to hopefully produce a male heir who won't be a complete disappointment. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. It's always fascinating to see where everyone is tuning in from. So please post your location and what time it is in your corner of the world. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The first sound you make is a thin, reedy wail that cuts through the close, humid air of the birthing room. It's a sound of arrival, of life, of breath, but it is not met with cheers. There are no joyful exclamations, no proud announcements shouted across the courtyard. Instead, the cry is met with a collective, almost imperceptible sigh from the women attending your mother, the midwife, her assistants, your grandmother. It is the sound of resignation, of a hope deferred. Your first act in this world was to draw breath. Your second was to disappoint. The midwife, a woman with hands as rough as tree bark and a face that has seen 1,000 births and 1,000 deaths, snips the cord. She cleans you with practiced, efficient motions, not unkind, but without the cooing tenderness you might expect. She wraps you in a simple piece of worn cloth and hands you not to your exhausted mother, but to your grandmother. The matriarch of this household looks at you, her eyes dark and unreadable. She inspects you not as a grandchild, but as a commodity, a ledger entry. She notes your healthy lungs, your sturdy limbs. Then she announces the verdict to the room, her voice flat and final. It is a daughter. In this world, everything is governed by a grand cosmic balance, the philosophy of yin and yang. Yang is the sun, the sky, the light, the strong, the active. It is everything male. Yin is the moon, the earth, the darkness, the soft, the yielding. It is everything female. From the moment of your birth, this powerful duality defines you. Your brother, had you been one, would have been a celebration of yang, a continuation of the family line, a future head of the household, a vital link in the endless chain of ancestor worship. He would have been an asset. You, a creature of yin, are a liability. You are a temporary member of this family, an outsider from the moment you arrive. You are an investment that will yield its returns to another household entirely. You are, to put it in the starkest terms, a mouth to feed that will one day be married off, taking a dowry with you and offering your children to another family's ancestral shrine. Your family has just spent 20 years raising a prize cow only to have to give it and a bag of money to the neighbors. Your father, who has been waiting anxiously in the outer courtyard, receives the news not from a joyful messenger, but from the quiet, downcast face of his own mother. He says nothing. He simply turns and walks away. His disappointment is a palpable thing, a heavy cloak that settles over the entire household. It's not necessarily that he doesn't love you or won't, but his primary duty is to his ancestors, and today he has failed to produce the son who will one day make offerings at his own grave. This is the moment where your life truly begins, and it begins with a powerful symbolic gesture, a quirky and ancient custom that perfectly illustrates your place. The midwife takes you, a small, warm bundle, and places you on the floor, on a piece of cloth laid beside your mother's bed. You are not placed in a cradle, not lifted up high. You are placed down low, on the earth. It is a literal and figurative grounding, A lesson in humility from your first hour of life. You are of the earth, the yin. Your purpose is to be lowly and submissive. In the same room, you can see a toy, a small piece of pottery, placed on top of the bed, a ritual object that was meant to welcome a son. It sits there now, unused, a silent testament to the child they had hoped for. Historians still argue whether the practice of female infanticide was as widespread and brutally common as some texts suggest, or if it was a desperate measure taken only by the poorest families in the most desperate of times. Did your father, in his moment of deep disappointment, secretly contemplate leaving you exposed on a remote hillside? Or is that a dramatic exaggeration, and the reality in most households was simply a quiet, pragmatic acceptance? The truth is likely somewhere in the middle, varying by region, by social class, and by the simple, unpredictable currents of a father's heart. But what is certain is that your birth is not an occasion for joy. It is a problem to be managed. Your survival through these first few fragile days is not just a matter of luck, but of choice, your family's choice to keep you. And for you, thankfully, the choice has been made. You will live. But your life will be lived in the shadow of that initial collective sigh. It is a shadow that will follow you, shaping your every step as you begin your long journey in the inner quarters, the hidden world of women. The world you grow into is one of courtyards within courtyards, a labyrinth of rooms and covered walkways that all face inward. This is the Neji, the inner quarters, the domestic realm that is your entire universe. Your brothers, if you had them, would eventually move to the outer quarters, the public-facing part of the house where your father conducts business, meets with other men, and engages with the world. Their lives would expand. Yours contracts, solidifying around this female space. You might catch glimpses of the outer world through a moon gate or a lattice screen, the flash of a visitor's brightly colored robe, the rumble of a cart on the street beyond the walls, but it is a world you do not belong to. It is the world of yang. You are a creature of yin, and your place is here, in the quiet, shaded heart of the home. Your education begins almost as soon as you can walk, and your classroom is this enclosed world. There are no books full of history or philosophy for you. Your curriculum is silence, obedience, and skill. Your first lessons are in movement. You learn to walk without stomping, to sit without sprawling, to handle a teacup without clattering it in the saucer. Every gesture must be graceful, contained, and modest. You are taught to keep your voice low, to never laugh too loudly, to speak only when spoken to. It's less of an education and more of a full body and soul training in the art of taking up less space. Your primary tools, the equivalent of your brother's calligraphy brush and inkstone, are the needle and the loom. Your small, clumsy fingers are first taught to handle a needle, to stitch simple seams on a piece of scrap cloth. Your grandmother, the ever-watchful matriarch, inspects your work, her sharp eyes missing nothing. A crooked stitch earns you a sharp rap on the knuckles with a bamboo ruler. An uneven seam is unpicked without a word, and you must do it again, and again, and again. The lessons are endless and repetitive. You learn to mend to sew, and then, as your skill grows, to embroider. Embroidery is not a hobby. It is your art, your resume, and your primary means of expression. You spend countless hours hunched over a taut piece of silk stretched on a wooden frame, your needle flashing as you bring a world to life in thread. You stitch peonies for wealth and honor, mandarin ducks for marital fidelity, cranes for longevity. Each symbol is part of a rich visual language, a way of communicating hopes and virtues without speaking a word. The quality of your embroidery is a direct reflection of your character. A patient, disciplined girl creates fine, even stitches. A lazy, careless girl produces shoddy, uneven work. Your future mother-in-law will one day inspect a piece of your handiwork as closely as a merchant inspects a piece of jade. A single flawed stitch could lower your value on the marriage market. It's like your entire LinkedIn profile consists of a single, incredibly high stakes Pinterest project. When you are old enough, you are introduced to the loom. It is a large, complex machine of wood and string that dominates one of the rooms in the inner quarters. Its rhythmic clack thump is the heartbeat of the household. Here, you learn the alchemical process of turning fine silk threads into bolts of luminous cloth. It is hard, physical work. Your back aches from leaning over the loom, your feet work the treadles, and your arms grow strong from throwing the shuttle back and forth. This is womanly work, the fourth of the famous four virtues for women, laid out in the Han Dynasty by the female scholar Ban Zhao in her influential text, Lessons for Women. This text becomes your unwritten constitution. You don't read it, but its principles are drilled into you daily. The other three virtues govern the rest of your life. Womanly virtue means you must be chaste and humble, always guarding your conduct. Womanly words means you must be pleasing in your speech, which in practice means not speaking very much at all. Mastering the art of the eloquent but non-committal grunt is considered a sign of high intelligence. And womanly bearing means you must be clean and quiet in your movements, presenting a serene and modest appearance at all times. This is the mainstream historical fact that shaped female education for 2,000 years. Your purpose was to be virtuous, quiet, beautiful, and industrious. But within this world of enforced silence, women found their own ways to speak. Here you learn a secret, a quirky fringe tidbit of your culture known only to the women of your household. It is a special script, a secret language called Nushu. While your brothers learn the complex, logographic characters of the official script, you are taught this unique phonetic script that was developed and used exclusively by women. It is written with fine, almost thread-like brushstrokes, a beautiful flowing script that looks more like embroidery than writing. With it, you can write letters to your sisters and friends who have been married off to distant households. You can write poems about the sorrows of being a wife, the joys of a festival, the pain of childbirth. It is a private channel of communication in a world that allows you no public voice. Historians still argue about the true extent of female literacy in ancient China. Was Nushu a rare, localized anomaly, or did other, similar forms of private female communication exist that have simply been lost to time? While the official histories written by men often assume near universal female illiteracy, personal letters and poems, sometimes written in the standard script by educated aristocratic women, suggest a more complex picture. It's likely that in wealthy, elite families, daughters were often taught to read, if not to write, so they could study moralistic texts like Ban Zhao's. But for most women, literacy was a secret garden, cultivated in the shadows, its gates closed to the world of men. Your knowledge of Nushu is a treasured, dangerous secret. It is a lifeline to other women, a way to build a community of shared experience that transcends the walls of your courtyard. So your days are spent in this enclosed world, learning the intricate dance of submission and skill. You learn to read the moods of your mother and grandmother as accurately as a sailor reads the sky. You learn which battles to fight and which to yield. You learn that your power lies not in confrontation, but in subtlety, in patience, and in the flawless execution of your domestic duties. Your hands become skilled, your spirit becomes quiet, and your heart learns to keep its secrets. You are being forged, polished, and prepared for the only event that truly matters in your life. You are being made ready for your marriage. You are now in your early teens, perhaps 14 or 15 years old. A subtle change has come over the inner quarters. The air, once filled with the steady, predictable rhythm of lessons and chores, is now thick with a new tension. You notice your mother and grandmother speaking in hushed, serious tones, their heads close together. They fall silent whenever you enter the room. Their gazes follow you, but they are not seeing you, their daughter or granddaughter. They are seeing a problem to be solved, a strategic asset to be deployed. The topic of their whispers is your marriage. One afternoon, a visitor arrives. This is not a relative or family friend. This is a professional. She is a woman of indeterminate age, her face a mask of polite neutrality, her robes impeccably neat but not ostentatious. This is the matchmaker. She is not a warm fairy godmother figure who cares about your happiness. She is a shrewd businesswoman, a human spreadsheet whose stock in trade is social connections and cold, hard calculation. Her arrival signals that the search for your future has officially begun. You are summoned to the main hall of the inner quarters to be presented. It is not an introduction, it is an inspection. You walk in, your steps measured, your gaze fixed on the floor a few feet in front of you, just as you were taught. The matchmaker's eyes miss nothing. She notes your posture, the cleanliness of your hands, the modesty of your bearing. A piece of your finest embroidery, the one with the pair of perfectly rendered mandarin ducks, is brought out for her examination. She studies the stitches, holding it close to her face, her expression unchanging. You feel less like a person and more like a prize heifer at the county fair. While the men of your family handle the finances and public affairs, this crucial negotiation is the domain of the women. Your grandmother, as the matriarch, does the talking. The matchmaker listens, occasionally making a note on a slip of bamboo or piece of precious paper. They are not discussing your personality, your dreams, or your fears. They are discussing your value. What is your family's standing? What is your father's official rank or the size of his business? And most importantly, what is the dowry you will bring? This dowry is a critical part of the negotiation. It will be your financial contribution to your new household and a safety net for you in your new life. The matchmaker then turns her attention back to you. This is where a quirky and intensely personal element comes into play. She assesses your physical form for signs of health and fertility. She notes the gloss of your hair, the clarity of your eyes. She might discreetly assess the width of your hips, a crude but common measure of your suitability for childbearing. She is a practitioner of a kind of folk physiognomy, believing that the shape of a girl's eyebrows can indicate a stubborn nature, or that a high forehead is a sign of intelligence, a quality that was not always considered desirable in a wife. But the most important document is the one your mother now provides. It is a slip of red paper on which are written the 8 characters, or bosky, of your birth. This is the mainstream historical fact upon which the entire system of matchmaking rests. Your birth year, month, day, and hour are all recorded, each represented by 2 characters. These 8 characters are a form of astrological DNA. The matchmaker will take these and seek a boy whose own 8 characters are compatible with yours. A boy born under a fire sign would not be matched with a water girl like you. One would surely extinguish the other. The 2 charts must balance and enhance each other. Your entire future, your happiness, your very life, could depend on the celestial harmony of these symbols. It's the world's most complicated and high-stakes dating app, run by astrology and an old lady you've just met. Historians still argue whether professional matchmakers were common across all social strata, or if they were a luxury of the elite. For wealthy families like yours, a professional with a wide network was essential for making a strategic alliance. For poorer families in a rural village, the role of go-between might be played by a trusted aunt or a village elder who knew all the local families. But the principles remained the same. The match was a transaction between families, not a romance between individuals. The matchmaker leaves with your 8 characters and a clear understanding of your family's price point and expectations. And then you wait. Weeks, maybe months, go by. You continue with your weaving and your embroidery, but now a new weight hangs in the air. You are no longer just a daughter being trained. You are a product being marketed. Finally, the matchmaker returns. An agreement has been reached. A family has been chosen. Their son's 8 characters are a perfect match for yours. Their social standing is comparable. Their expectations for a dowry meet your family's offer. The deal is struck. You are informed of your betrothal in a quiet, formal meeting with your parents. You are told the name of the family you will be joining. You will likely never hear the name of the boy himself, and you certainly will not see him. He is an abstract concept, a collection of compatible horoscopes. From this moment on, you are no longer truly a part of this family. You are a guest in your own home, living on borrowed time. Your fate, once a vague and distant cloud on the horizon, has now solidified into a binding contract, written on a scroll held by a stranger. You belong to someone else now. The day of the wedding approaches like a slow, inexorable sunrise. The date itself has been chosen with excruciating care by a diviner, who consulted astrological charts to find the most auspicious day and hour for the joining of your two families. It is not a day for romance. It is a day for cosmic alignment and good fortune. The mood in the inner quarters has shifted again. The tension of the negotiation has been replaced by a frenzy of preparation. Bolts of red silk, the color of joy, luck, and celebration, are brought out. Seamstresses are hired. And you, the object of all this activity, become a living doll, about to be decorated for delivery. Your transformation begins in the early hours of the morning, long before the sun has risen. You are led to a secluded room by the good luck woman, a hired professional whose own life has been fortunate. She has a living husband, many sons, and a happy household. Her presence is meant to be a kind of magical inoculation, transferring her good fortune to you. She is a walking, talking lucky rabbit's foot. You are bathed in water infused with pomelo leaves, a ritual cleansing to wash away any bad luck or evil spirits. The water is fragrant, but the mood is solemn. You are not being beautified for yourself, but for them. You are being turned into an offering. After the bath, you sit before a dressing table set with an array of porcelain pots, ivory combs, and lacquered boxes. This is where the real artistry begins. The good luck woman becomes your painter, and your face is her canvas. First, a thick white foundation, often made from a lead-based powder, is applied to your face and neck. The goal is to create a perfect porcelain-like complexion, an idealized mask of beauty that erases any individual blemishes or expressions. This lead-based makeup, a mainstream historical fact of ancient cosmetics, was both highly fashionable and incredibly toxic, a slow poison applied in the name of beauty. You are literally suffering for your art. Next come the eyebrows. Your own brows are plucked or shaved, and then a new, fashionable shape is painted on with a black pigment. Depending on the dynasty and the latest trend from the capital, they might be painted to look like distant hills, weeping willows, or even the antennae of a silkworm moth. Your own expression is replaced by a stylized, painted-on emotion. Then your lips. A bright red pigment is applied, but not to your full lips. The fashion is to create a smaller, cherry-like mouth, a perfect doll-like pout. The rest of your lips are covered with a white foundation. You are being remade, your features edited and improved according to a strict aesthetic standard. The most dramatic moment is the application of the blush. A circle of intense red rouge is applied high on your cheeks, close to your temples. It is not a subtle, natural flush. It is a bold, theatrical statement, a splash of color against the stark white canvas of your face. Historians still argue about the exact symbolism of this dramatic makeup. Was it purely an aesthetic choice, a bold fashion statement? Or did it carry a deeper meaning, perhaps symbolizing vibrant health and fertility, a ward against evil, or even a visual echo of the celebratory red of the wedding itself? While your face is being painted, your hair is being done. This is not a simple updo. It is a complex architectural feat. Your long, black hair, which has been washed and scented, is stiffened with sticky pomades and built up over a framework of wires and pads. It is then decorated with an astonishing array of ornaments. Gold hairbands carved with dragons and phoenixes are inserted. Ornaments of kingfisher feathers, their iridescent blue more vibrant than any dye, are carefully placed. Tassels of pearls and beads are hung so that they will sway and tinkle when you move. The final piece is a magnificent phoenix crown, or fengguan, a heavy, intricate headdress of gilded silver, pearls, and precious stones that is the ultimate symbol of a bride. It is incredibly beautiful and so heavy you can feel the strain in your neck muscles. It's the ancient equivalent of a crystal chandelier, and you're expected to wear it with grace and poise for the next 12 hours. Finally, you are dressed. You are wrapped in layer upon layer of silk robes, all in auspicious shades of red and gold. The innermost layers are simple, but the final, outer robe is a masterpiece of embroidery, covered in the same symbols you were taught to stitch: peonies for wealth, dragons and phoenixes for the union of husband and wife, and the double happiness character, a symbol created specifically for marriage. You are now a living, breathing work of art, a symbol of your family's wealth and status. Your own identity, your own face, is hidden beneath a perfect painted mask and a mountain of silk and jewels. You look in the bronze mirror, and a stranger looks back at you. This elaborate transformation is not just about making you beautiful, it is a ritual of separation. The girl who grew up in this house is being erased, and a new person, a wife, is being created in her place. It is a quirky, almost poignant detail that during this process, you are expected to cry. As the good luck woman dresses you, you are supposed to weep and mourn leaving your family. This ritualized crying demonstrates your filial piety and your deep attachment to your parents. If you don't cry enough, it might be seen as a sign that you are ungrateful or too eager to leave. So you sit there, a perfect painted doll with a heavy crown, and you produce the required tears, which a bridesmaid carefully dabs away so as not to ruin the priceless makeup job. It's the most emotionally confusing performance of your life. The final moment arrives. Your mother makes a last adjustment to your heavy phoenix crown, her own eyes shimmering with unshed tears. Your father, a man who has rarely spoken directly to you, now stands before you. He doesn't offer words of comfort or advice. He simply looks at you, his face a mixture of pride in the magnificent spectacle you have become and a deep, unspoken sorrow. He is giving you away. This is the last time you will ever be under his roof as his daughter. From this day forward, you are a visitor here, an outsider. He gives a short, formal bow, a gesture of finality. It is time to go. You walk, stiffly and slowly under the weight of your robes and crown, out of the inner quarters and into the main courtyard. For the first time you see it, your transport. Your Uber has arrived, and it's a very fancy, very red box carried by 4 straining guys. This is the bridal sedan chair. It is a work of art in itself, a small, enclosed chamber of lacquered wood, draped in red silk, embroidered with dragons and phoenixes, and hung with golden tassels. It is beautiful, opulent, and completely windowless. It is a gilded cage, a moving womb that will carry you from your old life to your new one. Helped by the good luck woman, you climb inside. The door is shut and a heavy silk curtain is drawn over it. Suddenly, you are plunged into a dim, stuffy, crimson-hued world. The scent of the lacquered wood and the silk is thick and close. You are alone, sealed off from the world. This is your last moment of solitude, your last moment of belonging to no one but yourself. Then, with a lurch that makes your heavy headdress sway dangerously, the chair is lifted. The journey has begun. The world outside your box explodes into a cacophony of sound. A barrage of firecrackers is set off, their sharp, percussive cracks designed to frighten away any malicious spirits that might be lurking, hoping to spoil the good fortune of the day. A band of musicians strikes up a tune, a loud, clashing fanfare of gongs, horns, and cymbals. This is the mainstream historical fact of the wedding procession. It is not a quiet, solemn affair. It is deliberately, aggressively loud. The goal is to create as much auspicious noise or renown as possible, creating a protective shield of sound around you as you travel between the two families. You sit in the swaying darkness, a living jewel being delivered. You are the centerpiece of this entire noisy spectacle, yet you are completely hidden from it. You can feel the rhythmic steps of the chair bearers, the jolts and sways as they navigate the streets. You are a fragile, precious package marked "handle with care," though the ride is anything but smooth. Your stomach lurches with every bump in the road. As the procession moves through the streets, you perform one last crucial ritual. This is your quirky, symbolic act of separation. You reach for a beautiful fan, painted with auspicious symbols, that was placed in the sedan chair with you. Without seeing where it will land, you push aside the curtain just a crack and toss the fan out onto the street. The gesture is heavy with meaning. You are throwing away your old life, your old self, your maidenly temperament. You are leaving your past behind on the dusty road. From now on, your new family will be your only concern. Historians still argue about the emotional reality of this journey for the bride. Was it a moment of pure terror and sorrow? You are, after all, leaving everyone you have ever known to go live with complete strangers, ruled over by a mother-in-law who will likely view you as a rival, and married to a boy you have never even seen. The sorrow is real. Your tears from earlier were not entirely for show. Yet, was there also a glimmer of something else? A flicker of hope for a kindly husband? A sense of ambition about becoming the wife in a powerful and prosperous household? Perhaps even a spark of excitement at the unknown, the first real event in a life that has been, until now, utterly predictable. In the swaying crimson darkness of the sedan chair, your heart is a confused battlefield of fear, grief, and a fragile, tentative hope. The journey feels endless. The rhythmic swaying, the incessant noise, the stuffy air, all combine to create a disorienting, dreamlike state. You are no longer in your father's house, but you are not yet in your husband's. You exist in a liminal space, a moment of pure transition between two worlds. You are a ghost, haunting the space between your past and your future. Then the rhythm changes. The music grows louder, more triumphant. You feel the chair slow, turn, and then stop. The sudden stillness is almost as jarring as the motion was. The roar of the firecrackers intensifies right outside your silken walls. You can hear a new set of voices, the sounds of a different household, a different family. You have arrived. You sit in the darkness, your heart pounding against your ribs, your hands clammy inside your silk sleeves. The journey is over, but the door to your cage remains shut. You are at the threshold of your new life, waiting for someone to let you in. The music outside the sedan chair swells to a final crashing crescendo and then cuts off abruptly. The sudden silence is deafening, broken only by the crackle of the last few firecrackers and the murmur of an expectant crowd. For a long moment, nothing happens. You sit in the crimson darkness, a prisoner awaiting the warden. Then the silk curtain is pulled aside. The sudden flood of daylight is blinding, and you instinctively lower your gaze to the ground, as you have been taught. The first thing you see is a pair of boots, intricately embroidered with golden thread. They belong to a young man in red robes identical to yours. This is your husband. He is a stranger, a concept, a collection of auspicious birth characters made flesh. You don't see his face. Your heavy phoenix crown forces your head down, and a red silk veil now obscures your vision, turning the world into a blurry, scarlet dream. He performs the first ritual. He might tap the door of the sedan chair with a fan, a symbolic invitation. Or, in a more dramatic tradition, he might shoot a blunt-tipped arrow at the chair, a final theatrical gesture to scare off any lingering evil spirits that might have followed you on your journey. Then he extends a hand, or rather a hand holding one end of a long red silk ribbon. You are given the other end. You are now literally tied to him. He leads you out of the sedan chair. You stumble slightly, your legs stiff from the long journey, the sheer weight of your costume a physical burden. You are now standing on the threshold of your new home, but you cannot simply walk in. The entrance is an obstacle course of ritual. First, you must step over a saddle Mon placed on the ground. The word for saddle sounds like the word for peace, pinyin. By stepping over it, you are symbolically bringing peace and tranquility to your new home. Next, you must step over a small, glowing brazier of charcoal. The fire is meant to burn away any lingering impurities or bad luck you might have carried with you from your father's house. Your past is being ritually purified by fire before you are allowed to enter your future. With each step, the message is reinforced. You are being cleansed, remade, and assimilated. Led by your silent, red-robed husband, you walk through a series of courtyards. The air smells different here. The scent of incense is heavier. The flowers in the garden are unfamiliar. Everything is new and strange. Finally, you enter the main hall. The room is crowded with his family members, all watching you, their faces a blur of curiosity and judgment. At the head of the hall, seated on carved wooden chairs, are his parents. Your new parents. But your focus, and the focus of the entire room, is on one person, your mother-in-law. She is the queen of this domain, and you are her new, untested subject. She is not young, her hair streaked with silver and pulled back severely. Her robes are dark and formal, and her face is a mask of stern neutrality. She watches your slow, veiled approach, her eyes missing nothing. She is not looking at you with affection, she is evaluating you. She is assessing the quality of the new piece of equipment that has just been delivered to her household. Is she healthy? Is she graceful? Will she be obedient? Will she produce a son? You are led to the center of the room, where cushions have been placed on the floor. Your husband kneels, and you kneel beside him. This is the moment, the tea ceremony. A servant hands you a small, delicate cup of tea. Your hands tremble slightly inside your wide sleeves as you take it. Your task is to serve this tea to your new parents. You offer the first cup to your father-in-law. He takes it, sips it, and nods. Then you take a second cup and offer it to your mother-in-law. This is the ultimate act of submission. You are offering yourself to her service. The entire hall holds its breath. Your hand must be steady. You cannot spill a single drop. The weight of your headdress feels like it will snap your neck, but you hold the cup firm. She takes it. She holds it for a long moment, her eyes fixed on you, a silent, powerful assertion of her dominance. She sips the tea. Then she sets the cup down and gives a small, almost imperceptible nod. A collective sigh of relief ripples through the room. You have been accepted. You are now officially a member of this family. Your life is now in this woman's hands. This ritual is the cornerstone of your new existence, the mainstream historical fact of your transfer of allegiance. Your mother-in-law's power over you is now absolute, sanctioned by law, tradition, and the unassailable wisdom of Confucius. She will dictate your every waking moment. She will assign your chores, criticize your cooking, and scrutinize your embroidery. She can praise you, punish you, or humiliate you as she sees fit. Your own mother is now a distant memory with no authority to intervene. You have one job, and it is to please this stern-faced woman who is a complete stranger to you. It is a quirky but telling detail that, upon your acceptance, she might bestow a gift upon you. It could be a jade bracelet or a pair of gold earrings, but she might also hand you the key to the rice storeroom. To an outsider, this looks like an honor, a granting of trust and authority. But you understand what it truly is. It is the immediate transfer of a heavy burden. You are now responsible for the household stores, and if anything goes missing or is mismanaged, the blame will fall squarely on you. It is a test you can only pass through constant vigilance. Historians still argue about the day-to-day reality of this powerful relationship. Was the tyrannical mother-in-law, a stock character in Chinese literature, the norm? Or was that a dramatic trope, and most relationships were far more pragmatic and even eventually affectionate? After all, an effective daughter-in-law was a huge asset, and a wise matriarch knew that running the household required cooperation, not just fear. The truth likely lies in the vast, unrecorded space between the two extremes, dependent entirely on the personalities of the two women who were now locked together in this intimate, lifelong power dynamic. For now, all you know is that you have crossed the threshold, and the woman holding the teacup is your new sun, your new moon, and your new law. The endless day of ceremonies finally concludes. The last guest has departed, the musicians have packed up their gongs, and a deep quiet settles over the household. In the privacy of the bridal chamber, a room painted an auspicious red and filled with new furniture, your husband finally lifts the red silk veil from your face. The moment is not one of romantic revelation. It is one of profound, terrifying awkwardness. You see him clearly for the first time. He is a boy not much older than you, with a nervous expression that mirrors your own. You are two strangers bound together by astrology and a business contract, tasked with creating the future of a family. There is no honeymoon period. There is no gentle easing into your new role. The next morning, the red silks are put away, and you are dressed in the more subdued robes of a married woman. The rules of your life, which were once dictated by your own mother and grandmother, are now replaced by a new and far more rigid set of regulations. You have traded one form of obedience for another. This is your reality now, a framework for your entire existence known as the three obediences. It is the cornerstone of Confucian social order, the mainstream historical fact that defines your past, present, and future. The first obedience, at home, obey your father, is already a closed chapter in your life. You lived it for 15 years. His was the ultimate authority, his decisions absolute. Now you have entered the second and longest phase of your life. When married, obey your husband. This is not a suggestion. It is a moral and social imperative. Your husband is now your master, your lord, the sun around which your small domestic planet must revolve. He is the head of the household, the representative of the family to the outside world. His word is law. In practice, this means your day is structured around his needs and his authority. He rises, and you ensure his clothes are ready and his morning tea is prepared. He departs for the outer quarters to study for the civil service exams, manage the family business, or simply confer with other men. His world is one of strategy, commerce, and politics. Your world is the one he leaves behind. While he is gone, your direct ruler is your mother-in-law, that everything you do is ultimately in service to him, the household's master. You are the coup of this domestic enterprise, but he is the CEO, and his mother is the terrifyingly micromanaging chairman of the board. When he returns in the evening, you are to be a pleasing, calming presence. You ensure his meal is to his liking. You listen if he chooses to speak about his day, but you do not offer opinions unless explicitly asked. To give your husband unsolicited advice on his business affairs would be a grave transgression, a violation of the boundary between the inner and outer spheres. It is a quirky but pervasive belief that the words of women belong only in the household. For your inner words to stray into his outer world of men's affairs would be to invite disharmony and bad luck. It would be like the moon trying to tell the sun how to shine. The third obedience looms in your future, a distant but unsettling cloud. When widowed, obey your son. This is perhaps the most difficult part of the doctrine for a modern mind to comprehend. Even if you navigate the treacherous waters of being a wife, even if you become a mother and eventually a grandmother, your own male child will one day hold authority over you. You will never be truly autonomous. Your life is a continuous transfer from one male authority to another, a lifelong journey of submission. Your relationship with your husband is therefore not one of companionship in the way you might understand it. It is one of duty and deference. His kindness or cruelty is a matter of luck, of the whims of fate that brought your two horoscopes together. If he is gentle and considerate, your life will be pleasant. If he is harsh and demanding, you must bear it with quiet fortitude. To complain would be to betray your duty, to bring shame upon yourself and your new family. Your primary role is to be a placid, harmonious presence, the calm center of his domestic world, a human air freshener for the soul. And so you learn to navigate this new power structure. You learn to read your husband's moods from the set of his shoulders or the tone of his voice. You learn the art of silent service. You learn that your influence, if you are to have any, will not come from direct confrontation, but from subtle, indirect means. Historians still argue whether these formal rules of obedience were absolute in practice, or if women developed subtle but powerful strategies of influence. A clever wife did not challenge her husband, but she could persuade him. She could manage the household with such flawless efficiency that he came to trust her judgment implicitly. She could form a strategic alliance with her mother-in-law, becoming her indispensable right hand. Your power is not in speaking, but in doing. It is in the perfect management of the inner realm, creating a sanctuary of such peace and order that your husband's life is made easier and his heart is turned favorably toward you. Your life has become a silent, strategic game of chess, where the goal is not to checkmate the king, but to become the queen who quietly controls the entire board. The awkwardness of the first few weeks with your new husband slowly begins to fade, replaced by a quiet, formal routine. You learn his habits, the foods he prefers, the times he likes his tea. You are a diligent and obedient wife, fulfilling all your duties with the quiet grace you have been taught. You please your mother-in-law by being industrious and respectful. You have successfully navigated the first treacherous phase of your new life, but you are acutely aware that this is not enough. You have not yet fulfilled your primary function. You have not yet produced an heir. The pressure is immense, though it is rarely spoken aloud. It is there in your mother-in-law's pointed stares, in the helpful herbal tonics she makes you drink, tonics designed to enhance your fertility. It is there in the whispers of the female servants and the expectant silence of the entire household. A wife without a son is a tree that bears no fruit. She is a failure. Her position in the household is precarious, her future uncertain. Your entire worth, your security, your very identity as a successful wife hinges on one single biological event, the birth of a son. When you finally realize you are pregnant, a wave of hope and terror washes over you. This is your chance. Your moment to finally secure your place in this family, to transition from a mere daughter-in-law to the honored mother of the next generation. But the terror is just as real. What if it is another girl? To produce a daughter as your firstborn would be to repeat your own mother's initial failure, to cement your status as a disappointment. The 9 months of your pregnancy are a strange mix of pampering and intense pressure. Your mother-in-law, now seeing you as a vessel for her future grandson, ensures you eat the most nourishing foods. You are excused from the heaviest household chores, but you are also surrounded by a thicket of superstitions and rituals. This is a quirky, all-encompassing aspect of family life. You are told not to look at ugly or frightening things, for fear they might imprint upon the unborn child. You are discouraged from eating foods that are misshapen or of an unlucky color. Your every action is scrutinized for its potential impact on the baby's gender and destiny. The birth itself is, once again, an exclusively female affair. The midwife is summoned. Your mother-in-law presides, her stern face a mask of anxious anticipation. You are back in the birthing room, but this time you are not the disappointment. You are the source of a potential triumph or a potential disaster. The labor is long and arduous, a primal battle fought in the close, hot confines of the inner quarters, And then it happens. A new cry fills the room. But this time, the cry is met not with a sigh, but with a sudden, sharp intake of breath. The midwife quickly cleans the baby and inspects it. A slow smile spreads across her face. She turns to your mother-in-law. A son. The words are electric. They transform the atmosphere in the room from one of tense anxiety to one of explosive joy. Your mother-in-law, who has never shown you an ounce of genuine affection, rushes to your bedside, her face broken by a smile so wide it seems to crack the stern mask she has worn for years. She takes your hand, her grip firm and warm. "You have done well," she says, and in those 4 words, you feel your entire status shift. You have done it. You have succeeded. The news ripples through the household. Firecrackers are set off in the courtyard. Your husband, who has been pacing nervously in the outer hall, breaks into a wide grin. Your father-in-law orders a feast to be prepared. Red eggs, symbols of happiness and new life, are distributed to friends and relatives. You, who began your life as a quiet apology, have now produced a loud exclamation of joy. The change in your own life is immediate and profound. This is the mainstream historical fact of female status in ancient China. Motherhood, specifically motherhood to a son, was the single most powerful source of agency and respect a woman could achieve. You are no longer just a daughter-in-law to be commanded. You are now the mother of the heir. Your voice, once ignored, now carries weight. Your opinions on matters concerning the nursery and the child are considered. You have a direct personal stake in the future of this lineage. Your relationship with your husband changes as well. You are no longer just 2 strangers bound by duty. You are now partners in a shared lineage, co-creators of the family's future. A new, deeper bond is forged, one built on the shared pride and responsibility of parenthood. He looks at you with a new respect, a new warmth. You have given him the greatest gift a wife can give. Historians still argue about the emotional bonds within this rigid family structure. Did a woman love her son because he was her child, or did she love him because he was her salvation? Was the outpouring of affection for a male infant a genuine emotional response? Or was it a celebration of a successful strategic move in the long, slow chess game of family politics? Looking at the tiny, helpless infant in your arms, you know the answer is hopelessly tangled. There is the fierce, protective, biological love of a mother for her child, but woven through it is the undeniable, profound relief of a woman who has just secured her future, who has finally, after a lifetime of being secondary, become essential. Your son is not just your child. He is your shield, your champion, your retirement plan, and your claim to a place of honor in this family, both in this life and in the next, at the ancestral altar. With the birth of your son, the geography of your power has been redrawn. The change is subtle at first, but undeniable. You still defer to your mother-in-law, and you still obey your husband, but you are no longer at the bottom of the household hierarchy. You are the mother of the future, and that status affords you a new kind of authority. You now have a domain where your word is final, the nursery. You manage the wet nurse, if your family is wealthy enough to afford one, and you oversee every detail of your son's early life. This is your first taste of real executive power, and you wield it with the fierce, protective focus of a tigress. As the years pass and you produce more children, perhaps another son, maybe a daughter or 2, your position solidifies. Your mother-in-law ages. Her steps become slower, her sharp eyes a little dimmer. The day-to-day running of the vast and complex organism that is the household begins to fall more and more to you. The inner quarters, the neijai, which once felt like your prison, now becomes your kingdom. You are its undisputed, if unofficial, queen. While your husband rules the outer world, his authority stopping at the moon date that separates the male and female spheres, you command everything within. Your day is a whirlwind of managerial tasks. You rise before dawn to supervise the kitchen staff, planning the day's meals, inspecting the quality of the rice, and ensuring that nothing is wasted. You are the household's chief financial officer, managing the budget for food, cloth, and supplies with a shrewdness born of long practice. You keep the keys to the storerooms, not as a test of your honesty, but as a symbol of your command. No one eats, no one is clothed, no one is warm in the winter without your foresight and careful management. Your authority extends to every person who lives within these walls. You direct the army of servants, maids, and seamstresses. You know who is lazy, who is diligent, who is nursing a secret grudge. You mediate their disputes, assign their tasks, and manage their lives with a firm, but, if you are wise, fair hand. You are the head of human resources, the chief of operations, and the high court judge for a small, self-contained nation. You also become the family's social secretary. You keep track of the intricate calendar of birthdays, anniversaries, and festival days that require the exchange of gifts with other families. It is your job to select the appropriate gift, a bolt of silk, a basket of rare fruit, a piece of calligraphy that perfectly reflects your family's status and the nature of your relationship with the recipients. To send a gift that is too lavish would be boastful. One that is too meager would be an insult. It is a delicate diplomatic dance, and a misstep could damage your family's reputation. This hidden world of female power is the mainstream historical fact that often gets lost in the official histories, which are focused on the battles, politics, and philosophies of men. But the empire, the dynasty, the great affairs of state, all rested on this foundation of domestic order. A well-run household, managed by a competent woman, produced the food, the cloth, and most importantly, the educated, disciplined sons who would go on to become the empire's scholars, officials, and generals. The inner quarters were not a place of idle leisure. They were the engine room of the entire civilization. It is a quirky but revealing detail that a woman in your position often managed a secret, private purse. While all the family's main assets were controlled by your husband, you might have your own small source of income. Perhaps it was the money from the fine embroidery you and your daughters produced, sold discreetly through a trusted intermediary. Or perhaps you engaged in small-scale lending to other families. This private fund was your secret weapon, your discretionary budget. You could use it to buy a special treat for your children, to provide a slightly more generous dowry for a favorite daughter, or to help out a relative from your natal family who had fallen on hard times. It was a small but significant source of autonomy in a world that officially granted you none. Historians still argue about the true nature of this domestic power. Was it a form of genuine authority, a separate but equal sphere of influence? Or was it merely a delegated power, a form of management that could be revoked at any time by the true patriarch of the household? Was the queen of the inner quarters a true monarch, or just a highly trusted, high-status servant? The answer is complex. Your power is real. The household would cease to function without you, but it is also conditional. It depends on the continued favor of your husband and your ability to maintain harmony and order. If you were to fail, if the household were to descend into chaos, your authority would vanish. You rule not by divine right, but by competence and consent. As you stand in the central courtyard at dusk, watching your children play, you can feel the threads of the entire household running through your hands. You know where every bag of rice is stored. You know the name of every servant's child. You know the secret sorrows and ambitions of every woman living under your roof. Your husband may be the public face of the family, the name on the official documents, but you are its heart, its spine, and its busy, tireless, ever-watchful brain. The rhythmic clack-thump of the loom is a sound that has echoed through your entire life. As a girl, it was the sound of your lessons, the backdrop to your childhood. Now, as the mistress of the inner quarters, it is the sound of your household's prosperity. The loom is not a tool for a quaint hobby. It is a vital engine of the domestic and imperial economy in your hands. Along with the hands of every other woman in this house, are the fuel that makes it run. Your day often begins or ends in the weaving room, a space filled with several large looms and the faint, dusty smell of raw silk. You inspect the work of your daughters and the household servants, your expert eye checking for the telltale signs of a loose thread or an uneven weave. The production of textiles, particularly silk, is one of the most important forms of womanly work, a duty and an economic contribution that is absolutely central to your family's survival and success. The process begins not at the loom, but in the garden with the mulberry trees. It is your responsibility to oversee the cultivation of these trees, as their leaves are the only food the precious silkworms will eat. In the spring, the sericulture season, the inner quarters are transformed into a massive, fragile nursery. Trays of thousands of tiny, voraciously hungry silkworms must be fed chopped mulberry leaves around the clock. The sound of them chewing is a constant, soft rustle, like the sound of falling rain. It is delicate, demanding work. The worms must be kept at a perfect temperature, protected from loud noises, strong smells, and even drafts, all of which are believed to upset them and ruin the quality of their silk. It is a quirky, almost mystical belief that the worms are sensitive to the emotional state of their keepers. An angry or anxious woman, it is said, will produce coarse, tangled thread. You must therefore approach your worms with the same serene calm you are expected to show your husband. Once the worms have spun their cocoons, the real alchemy begins. You oversee the process of boiling the cocoons to kill the pupa inside and loosen the threads. Then comes the most magical and tedious step, the unreeling. Each cocoon is made of a single, continuous silk filament that can be up to a mile long. The women of your household must find the end of this microscopic thread and carefully unwind it, combining the filaments from several cocoons to create a single, stronger thread for weaving. It is work that requires immense patience and a delicate touch. This silk thread, the product of so much labor, is more valuable than grain. It is a form of currency. A portion of your family's taxes must be paid to the government, not in coin, but in bolts of raw silk. This is the mainstream historical fact that underpins your work, the textile tax. Your silent domestic labor is directly fueling the imperial treasury, clothing the armies, and supplying the magnificent robes of the scholar officials at the emperor's court. When trade caravans travel the long, dangerous routes of the Silk Road, carrying Chinese goods to the far-off Roman Empire, it is the product of your hands, the fruit of your looms, that they are carrying. You are a hidden, unacknowledged titan of international trade. The weaving itself is a highly skilled art on the looms. You and your women create not just plain cloth, but intricate brocades and damasks with complex patterns woven directly into the fabric. These patterns are not just decorative. They are a language of symbols representing luck, longevity, and status. The cloth you produce clothes your own family, but any surplus can be sold at market, providing a vital stream of income that you, the mistress of the household, control. Historians still argue about the precise economic value of women's textile production. Because it took place within the home, it was often invisible in official economic records, which focused on the male domains of agriculture and public commerce. But many scholars now believe that this domestic production was the unacknowledged bedrock of the entire Chinese economy for centuries. Without the silk and cotton produced by millions of women in households like yours, the empire simply could not have functioned. You understand this power in a very real and personal way. The quality of the silk you produce has a direct impact on your family's standing. It affects the dowries you can provide for your daughters, the gifts you can exchange with other families, and the clothes your husband wears when he appears in public. Your skill at the loom is as important to the family's success as your husband's skill in business. He manages the outer wealth. You create the inner wealth. They are two halves of the same coin. So you sit at the loom, the wooden shuttle flying back and forth in your hands, the threads intertwining to create a pattern of phoenixes and peonies. It is repetitive, mechanical work, but it is also creative and deeply satisfying. In a world where your voice is silenced, the loom gives you a way to speak. You speak in the language of color and pattern. You express your skill, your patience, your devotion to your family. Each bolt of silk is a silent testament to your worth, a story woven in thread that will travel far beyond the walls of your courtyard home, even if you never will. The years have been kind to you. You are the respected mistress of the inner quarters, the mother of 2 healthy sons and a daughter. Your position is secure, your authority unquestioned. You have navigated the treacherous early years of your marriage and emerged as the calm, competent center of your household. The inner quarters run like a well-oiled machine under your command. But the machine is about to have a new, unpredictable part thrown into its gears. One evening, your husband informs you of his decision. He says it casually, as if discussing the weather or the price of rice. He has decided to take a concubine. Your heart plummets into your stomach, a cold, heavy stone. All the harmony you have so carefully built is about to be threatened. You know you cannot object. To show jealousy is one of the 7 grounds for divorce a man can use against his wife. It would be a sign of your own lack of virtue. You must accept his decision with grace and serenity, even as a storm of fear and resentment rages inside you. His reasons are his own. Perhaps her family offered a strategic alliance. Perhaps she was a gift from a business associate. Or perhaps it is simply a matter of status. For a man of your husband's standing, having a concubine or several is a sign of wealth and virility. It's the ancient equivalent of buying a ridiculously expensive sports car to show everyone you've made it. But whatever the reason, the result is the same. Another woman is coming into your home. A woman who'll share your husband. Her arrival is nothing like your own grand, noisy procession. There's no red sedan chair, no firecrackers, no phoenix crown. She arrives quietly through a side entrance with a small bundle of belongings. She is young, much younger than you are now, and beautiful in a fragile, doe-eyed way. She is brought before you and your husband, and she kneels, performing a deep kowtow. She is not his equal, and she is certainly not yours. This is the mainstream historical fact that structures this new reality, the rigid legal and social hierarchy of the household. You are the principal wife, the jinxie. Your marriage was a contract between 2 families. Your sons are the legitimate heirs. She is a key, a concubine, a secondary wife. Her status is little better than that of a high-ranking servant. She must address you with deference, obey your commands, and serve you as the mistress of the house. You are in charge of her. The system is designed to protect your authority. But you know that the law is one thing and the human heart is another. You assign her a small set of rooms, not near your own, but in a less desirable corner of the inner quarters. You give her tasks, weaving the plainest cloth, sorting the herbs, the tedious jobs you no longer do yourself. You are polite, firm, and distant. You are establishing the boundaries, making the power dynamic clear from the very first day. But at night, you lie awake, listening for the sound of your husband's footsteps in the corridor. When they pass your door and head towards her chambers, it is a small, sharp pain, a quiet humiliation you must bear in silence. The inner quarters have now become a silent battlefield for one man's attention. The rivalry intensifies when she becomes pregnant. Her status rises with the swelling of her belly. Now the household watches and waits once more. If she produces a daughter, your position is secure. But if she produces a son, everything changes. Her son will never have the same legal standing as your own sons, but he will still be your husband's child. He will be a rival to your boys for their father's affection, for resources, for favor. And if your husband shows a preference for his concubine's son, it could sow the seeds of a lifetime of conflict. You wage a subtle, silent war. You never raise your voice. You never make a direct accusation, but you find ways to protect your territory. This is where the quirky, dark arts of household politics come into play. When your husband praises the concubine's beauty, you might gently remark that her delicate constitution makes her unsuited for the difficult task of managing the winter stores, thus subtly reminding him of her fragility and your own competence. You might accidentally assign her servants who are known to be clumsy or gossips. You ensure your own sons are always impeccably dressed and perfectly behaved when their father is present, while finding reasons why the concubine's child is conveniently napping or playing elsewhere. It is a game of whispers, of strategic alliances with servants, of manipulating perceptions. Historians still argue about the degree of solidarity versus rivalry among women in a polygynous household. Did the shared experience of living under a patriarchal system create a kind of female sisterhood, a secret alliance against the men who ruled them? Or did the system successfully pit women against each other, forcing them to compete for the limited resources of a man's favor and the status his children could bring? In the quiet, tense corridors of your home, you feel the truth is the latter. She is not your sister, she is your rival. She is the living embodiment of your own potential failure, a constant reminder that you are in some way replaceable. The system is not designed for sisterhood. It is designed for control, and it works by making you rivals for the same prize. Your shared oppression does not unite you. It makes you adversaries in a game you are both forced to play, a game where only one of you can truly win. Life settles into a predictable, tidal rhythm of command and duty. Your days are a complex tapestry of managing servants, overseeing the weaving, disciplining your daughters, and ensuring your sons are diligent in their studies. The silent, subtle war with your husband's concubine continues, a permanent low-grade fever in the body of the household. It is a life of immense responsibility and profound confinement, a world of whispers and work, contained entirely within your courtyard walls. But even in this rigid, disciplined world, there are moments when the walls seem to dissolve, when the strict rules of daily life are suspended, and the air fills with a different kind of energy. These are the festivals. The approach of the Lunar New Year is a perfect example. A palpable excitement begins to build, starting weeks in advance. The annual Great Dusting begins, a house-wide cleaning campaign waged with the military precision of a general. You direct the servants to sweep, scrub, and polish every corner of the household. The goal is not just to be clean, but to sweep away all the bad luck and misfortune of the previous year, making way for good fortune to enter. It's the one time of year you want to see someone cutting corners, as long as it's the corners of the paper window decorations. Then comes the cooking. The kitchen, normally a place of pragmatic daily sustenance, becomes a fragrant factory of celebratory food. For days, all the women of the household, you, your daughters, the concubine, the female servants, gather together. The strict hierarchy relaxes slightly in the face of this monumental task. You work side by side, chopping vegetables, grinding rice flour for New Year cakes, or folding hundreds of perfect little dumplings, or jiaozai. The work is communal, filled with chatter and even laughter. In these moments, surrounded by flour dust and the steam from the pots, the rivalries and tensions seem to melt away. You are not a wife and a concubine. You are just women with a shared, urgent goal: make enough dumplings to feed a small army. On New Year's Eve, the household transforms. Red paper couplets, brushed with auspicious phrases by your learned husband, are pasted on either side of the doorways. Intricate paper cuts, made by your own skilled hands, are stuck to the windows. And then comes the most important moment of the entire festival: the honoring of the ancestors. This is the mainstream historical fact that lies at the very heart of your family's existence. The entire family, men and women, dressed in their finest new clothes, gathers in the main hall before the ancestral altar. The altar is a magnificent piece of carved wood, holding the spirit tablets of your husband's ancestors, each tablet inscribed with a name from generations past. An array of offerings which you have spent days preparing is laid out before them: a whole chicken, a whole fish, pyramids of oranges, and cups of wine. Thick sticks of incense are lit, their fragrant smoke curling up towards the heavens, carrying your prayers to the spirit world. Your father-in-law leads the ceremony. He, your husband, and your sons kneel and kowtow before the tablets, paying their respects. Then it is your turn. You kneel not just as a wife, but as a vital link in this chain of generations. The offerings you prepared are feeding the spirits who gave you your husband and, most importantly, your sons. You are showing your gratitude, and in doing so, ensuring the continued blessing of the ancestors upon the family. Without you and your sons, this chain would be broken. In this moment, your importance is undeniable. After the solemn ceremony comes the feast. The whole household eats together, a rare occasion of shared celebration. The food is abundant and symbolic, and for one night, the strictures of daily life are loosened. The men might drink a little too much wine, your children might stay up late, and your own voice might be heard in laughter. For a few brief hours, the household is not a rigid hierarchy, but a family. Festivals are also one of the few occasions you might be permitted to leave the compound. Perhaps for the Lantern Festival, you and the other women, properly chaperoned, might be allowed to walk out in the evening to see the streets filled with glowing paper lanterns of all shapes and sizes. You get a glimpse of the outside world, a world of crowds, merchants, storytellers, and noise. It's a dizzying, overwhelming sensory experience after the quiet containment of your home. It's the ancient equivalent of a supervised company outing, but for you, it is a taste of intoxicating freedom. Another important excursion is for the Qingming Festival, or Tomb Sweeping Day, in the spring. The entire family makes a journey out of the city to the hillside where the family tombs are located. This is a quirky, somber, but essential family duty. You spend the day cleaning the grave sites, pulling weeds, and making fresh offerings of food and wine to the deceased. Paper spirit money is burned, the smoke carrying the currency to your ancestors for them to spend in the afterlife. It is a moment of direct communion with the generations who came before, a physical act of remembrance that connects you, your children, and your husband to the very land itself. Historians still argue to what extent these festivals provided genuine emotional release and familial agency, or if they were simply another form of ritualized duty. Was your joy at the New Year feast real, or were you performing the role of the happy, harmonious wife? Was your brief walk through the lantern-lit streets a true taste of freedom, or just a stroll in a slightly larger, more crowded cage? The answer, you feel, is both. The duties are real, the rituals prescribed, but within them, there are undeniable moments of connection, of spiritual significance, of community with the other women, and of a joy that is all the more potent for being so rare. The festival ends, the red lanterns are taken down, and the quiet discipline of the inner quarters returns. But the memory of the light, the laughter, and the flavors remains, a small, bright spark that helps to illuminate the long, routine days. The years pass, marked by the steady rhythm of the seasons and the festivals that celebrate them. Your sons grow into young men, their voices deepening, their shoulders broadening. Your daughter blossoms under your tutelage, her stitches becoming as fine as your own. You have reached a state of equilibrium, a position of quiet domestic power. Your mother-in-law has passed away, her spirit tablet now taking its place on the ancestral altar, and you have seamlessly, rightfully, ascended to the role of undisputed matriarch of the inner quarters. You are no longer the nervous young bride, you are the queen. But the mandate of heaven, which governs emperors, also governs households, and your reign is about to come to an abrupt and devastating end. It begins with a cough, a persistent, dry cough your husband develops in the autumn. At first, no one thinks anything of it, but the cough deepens, settling into his chest. He grows tired, his skin taking on a pale, waxy sheen. The best physicians are summoned. The household fills with the bitter, cloying smell of boiling herbal remedies. You spend your days brewing these decoctions, your nights listening to his ragged breathing. The entire household holds its breath. But no amount of prayer or medicine can help. Your world, once so ordered, tilts on its axis. He dies on a cold winter morning, just as the sun is rising. A new quiet descends, a silence so deep and heavy it feels like a physical weight. The vibrant life of the household ceases. Your life as a wife is over. You are now a widow. The funeral ceremonies are long, complex, and emotionally exhausting. You must lead the mourning, but your grief, like every other aspect of your life, must be perfectly ritualized. You trade your fine silk robes for coarse, scratchy sackcloth. You wail at the prescribed times, your cries a public performance of your devastation. You are the chief mourner, the grieving widow, the central figure in this theater of death. But beneath the performance, your mind is racing, grappling with the terrifying reality of your new situation. Because losing your husband does not bring you freedom. It brings you a new set of chains. You have now entered the third and final stage of your life, the last of the three obediences. When widowed, obey your son. The shift is almost immediate. Your eldest son, now the official male head of the family, takes his father's place. He is a boy you raised, a boy whose scraped knees you bandage, whose childish tantrums you soothed. Now he is your master. He is the authority. You, the woman who ran this entire household with flawless precision for 2 decades, must now defer to his judgment. It's like being a deposed CEO forced to take orders from the summer intern you hired 3 years ago. When he makes a decision about selling a parcel of land or investing in a new business, you must bite your tongue and nod in submission, even if you know, with your years of experience, that it is a foolish choice. Your social and legal position is now incredibly precarious. Your only real power lies in your son's filial piety, his willingness to honor and respect you as his mother. If he is a good Confucian son, he will treat you with kindness and continue to seek your counsel in private. But if he is weak or resentful or married to a clever, ambitious wife who seeks to displace you, your life can become a misery. You can be relegated to a small, forgotten courtyard, your authority completely eroded. And then there is the pressure to remain chaste. This is the new, central focus of your existence. Remarriage for a widow, especially one from a respectable family, is deeply frowned upon. It would be an act of disloyalty to your dead husband's memory, a stain on your family's honor. Your in-laws guard your chastity with the same fierce determination they'd use to guard the family silver, because, in a way, you are the family silver, a symbol of their moral purity. This leads to the ultimate expression of your new role, the cult of the chaste widow. This is the mainstream historical fact of your situation. A widow who remains faithful to her husband's memory, who raises her sons to be virtuous officials, and who lives a life of quiet, pious solitude is the ultimate female role model. Her reward for this lifetime of self-denial is a great honor. After her death, her family might petition the emperor to erect a pailu, a memorial arch in her honor. This is the quirky, almost cruel paradox of your life. You might achieve a level of fame and public honor no married woman ever could. Your name could be immortalized in stone, a testament to your virtue for all to see. Your family would gain immense face. But the price of this honor is a life devoid of companionship, a long, lonely path of perpetual mourning. It's the ultimate posthumous 5-star review for your piety, and your only reward for a lifetime of loneliness is being, well, dead. Historians still argue whether this unforgiving ideal was a reality for all women. For the elite like you, the pressure was immense. But for a poor peasant woman, was the choice the same? Some scholars suggest that for the lower classes, remarriage was a common and accepted economic necessity. A poor family simply couldn't afford to support a non-productive widow. She had to marry again to survive. The luxury of lifelong chastity was, in a way, a status symbol that only the wealthy could afford. You are now the dowager. The title sounds grand, but it feels like a cage. Your colorful silk robes have been replaced by the permanent grays and browns of mourning. You spend your days in quiet contemplation, in prayer for your late husband, and in the endless, silent observation of a household you no longer control. You have entered the long, last winter of your life. The long winter of your widowhood eventually gives way to a new season, a new kind of spring. It does not come with the sudden passion of youth, but with the slow, creeping, undeniable authority of age. Your son, though officially your master, has grown into a man who understands the wisdom of your long experience. His ambitious young wife has learned, as you once did, that the matriarch's favor is a far more useful tool than open defiance. The household, which at first felt like it was slipping from your grasp, slowly, quietly returns to your command. You have now ascended to the final and most powerful role a woman can achieve. You have become the one you once feared and revered. You have become the matriarch. Your word is now law in the inner quarters, not by the delegated authority of your husband, but by the sheer, unassailable weight of your position as the elder. You are the living ancestor. Your hair is snow white, your face a roadmap of wrinkles, each one earned through a lifetime of service, sorrow, and survival. Your movements are slow, your back bent, but your eyes are as sharp as they were the day you inspected your first daughter-in-law's embroidery. Your days are no longer filled with the hard, physical labor of the loom or the stressful management of the daily budget. You have passed those duties on to your son's wife, just as your mother-in-law once passed them to you. You are now the household's Supreme Court justice, its spiritual guide, its living repository of history and tradition. Your primary role is to sit in the main hall of the inner quarters, a cup of fragrant tea always at your elbow, and simply preside. When a dispute arises between servants, they are brought before you for judgment. You listen to their squabbles, your expression impassive, and deliver a verdict that is swift, final, and recognized by all as fair. When a match is being considered for your granddaughter, the matchmaker comes to you first. You are the one who knows the histories of all the local families, who remembers the scandals of 2 generations past, who can assess the character of a potential in-law family with a single shrewd glance. Your sons and even your grandsons come to you for advice. They might not ask you about the details of their business, but they will seek your wisdom on matters of family and fortune. You have seen it all. You have survived childbirth, navigated household politics, managed famines, and endured deaths. Your perspective is long, your wisdom deep. You have become the calm, still center around which the entire bustling, multi-generational household revolves. This is the mainstream historical fact that completes the cycle of a woman's life. If she survived the perils of childbirth and the uncertainties of marriage, and if she was fortunate enough to have a filial son, she could eventually achieve a position of immense domestic power and respect. The Confucian system, which demanded her submission in her youth, now rewarded her with authority in her old age. She became the keeper of the flame, the embodiment of the family's values. You are now the one who holds the family's oral history. You tell your grandchildren stories of their great-grandfather, of festivals from long ago, of the year the locusts came. You are the bridge that connects the current generation to all the generations that came before. You teach your granddaughters the secret stitches of embroidery that have been passed down in your family. And perhaps, if you trust them, you whisper to them the secret flowing characters of Nushu. It is a quirky, almost ironic twist that you now have more freedom of movement than you have ever had in your life. As a revered elder, the strict rules of confinement are relaxed. You might be carried in a sedan chair to visit old friends, other matriarchs, and other households. You spend your afternoons with these women, sipping tea, gossiping, and comparing the merits of your various grandchildren. It is a quiet, powerful sorority of survivors, a board of directors for the domestic life of the entire community. Historians still argue about the true nature of this matriarchal power. Was it a genuine, hard-won authority, the final logical reward in a lifelong journey of service? Or was it a kind of golden cage, a comfortable, respected form of retirement that still kept women firmly out of the real power of the male-dominated outer world? The truth, as you experience it, is that your power is absolute, but your kingdom is small. You can command the lives of 50 people within these walls, but you cannot change the price of rice at the market or influence the emperor's choice of minister. You are a queen, but your reign is limited to the boundaries of your home. Your days are peaceful. You are surrounded by your children and grandchildren. You are respected, honored, and in their own way loved. You have fulfilled your duty. You have been an obedient daughter, a faithful wife, a filial mother. You have endured. And in this world, for a woman, endurance is the ultimate victory. You have become the ancestor you once prayed to, a living, breathing spirit tablet, watching over the family you have spent your entire life building. A late afternoon sun, the color of warm honey, slants into the courtyard, casting long shadows from the bamboo grove. You sit in your carved wooden chair in the main hall of the inner quarters, your hands resting in your lap, the silk of your dark robes cool against your skin. You are no longer an active participant in the household's daily hustle. You are its audience, its quiet central observer. You watch as one of your grandsons, a boy of 5 or 6, chases a dragonfly across the paving stones, his laughter echoing in the still air. It is a sound of pure, uncomplicated joy, a sound you have worked your entire life to create and protect. Your granddaughter, a girl of about 7, sits on a small stool near your feet. A miniature embroidery frame rests on her lap. She is struggling to learn the same stitches you learned more than 60 years ago. Her small brow is furrowed in concentration, her tongue sticking out from the corner of her mouth as she tries to guide the needle through the taut silk. She makes a mistake, and a look of frustration clouds her face. She looks up at you, her dark eyes wide with a threat of tears. You do not scold her. You do not rap her knuckles with a bamboo ruler as your grandmother once did to you. You simply reach out a hand, your skin as thin and translucent as old paper, and gently touch her head. You lean down and whisper a word of encouragement, showing her how to unpick the flawed stitch and begin again. She gives you a small, grateful smile and turns back to her work, her determination renewed. And in that moment, watching her, you see it all. The entire cycle, the great, relentless, turning wheel of a woman's life, laid out before you like a painted scroll. You see yourself in her. You see the young girl learning the lessons of the needle and the loom. You see the nervous bride, her face painted into a perfect doll-like mask. You see the determined young wife fighting the silent wars of the inner quarters. You see the triumphant mother, her status secured by the birth of a son. And you see the powerful matriarch, the position you now hold. You see it all reflected in the innocent, determined eyes of this small child. Her path is already being set. Her education in silence and obedience has begun. Soon, the matchmaker will be called. A set of 8 characters will be drawn up. A dowry will be negotiated. She, too, will be placed in a red sedan chair and sent away to a new family, a new home, a new life of service. She will cross the threshold and serve tea to a stern-faced mother-in-law she has never met. She will feel the pressure to produce a son. She will endure. This is the great, unchanging truth, the mainstream historical fact that has bound the generations together. The individual woman is transient, But the role, the pattern, the life cycle is eternal. You have simply played your part, a single vital thread in a vast and ancient tapestry. You have woven your life into the fabric of this family, and now your granddaughter will weave hers. As you look at her, a question, the one historians will always argue, surfaces in your mind. Has anything really changed? Your life was one of constant struggle, of submission and silent strategy. Will hers be any different? You look around your prosperous household, at the fine clothes and the well-fed servants. Your family's status has risen over the decades. Her dowry will be larger than yours was. The family she marries into may be wealthier, her physical comforts may be greater. But will the fundamental rules of her existence be any different? Will she still be a creature of yin, her world confined to the inner quarters? Will she still have to obey the three obediences? You know, with a certainty that is as deep and solid as the foundation of the house, that the answer is no. The world outside may change, dynasties may rise and fall, but the rules for women, the rules of the family, remain as constant as the moon and the stars. It is a quirky, almost heartbreaking feature of your world. The immense, collective effort of millions of women like you serves not to change the system, but to perpetuate it. You raise your sons to be masters, and you raise your daughters to be their obedient wives. You are the architects of your own daughter's confinement. But as you look at your granddaughter, you don't feel despair. You feel a deep, quiet, and profound connection. You see the strength in her small hands, the spark of intelligence in her eyes. You know she will learn the rules, as you did. She will learn to be silent, but she will also learn to be strong. She will find her own ways to wield power, to build her own kingdom within the walls of her home. She will endure. She will survive. She will become the matriarch. She will become you. You close your eyes, the warmth of the sun on your old face, the sound of your grandson's laughter and the gentle scratch of your granddaughter's needle are the only sounds in the world. The cycle will continue. The tapestry will grow. And you, a single vital thread, have found your place within its grand design. You are at peace. The sun dips below the high courtyard walls now, and the air begins to cool. The long shadows have merged into a soft, deep twilight, and the sharp edges of the day have softened to a gentle blur. Your granddaughter has put away her embroidery, her small task for the day now complete, and your grandson has been called inside by his mother, his laughter fading down the long, dark corridors of the house. A servant comes silently to light a single oil lamp, its small, warm flame pushing back the gathering darkness, creating a tiny, golden island of peace in the vast, quiet hall. Let the image of that quiet hall settle around you, a place of deep and profound peace at the end of a long and eventful life. The struggles and the sorrows have faded, the rivalries have stilled, and all that remains is the deep, resonant hum of a family that is safe and provided for, a legacy that is secure. Allow the quiet of that ancient house to seep into your own room. Let the worries of your day fade like the light from the sky, and let the gentle, flickering flame of the oil lamp soothe your mind. There are no more duties to attend to, no more battles to be fought. The story is complete, the cycle is ready to begin anew, but not tonight. Tonight is a time for rest, for the deep, dreamless sleep of a matriarch whose work is finally truly done. Sweet dreams.